Hi everyone, welcome. Happy Friday. Today we're going to talk about what comes first, the chicken or the egg. So if you're trying to figure out what you should pick first, whether it's your drapery hardware or figure out what kind of drape, today I'm going to help you out with that, because drapery hardware, even for the most seasoned interior designers or window treatment customers, it can be a little tough. So today we're going to talk about DIY drapery hardware versus custom drapery hardware. Now, the DIY hardware are things that you can buy from local big box stores, other home accessory stores and whatnot, things that you don't need to purchase through someone like WindowWorks. So, and I'm going to give an example of a big picture window. So we're talking about a window that's maybe molding to molding approximately 10 feet wide, so 120 inches, and the do's and don'ts when hanging a drapery up that way. So I have two examples here. I have a rod that you can buy off the shelf, and then a rod that I have here in the showroom that I can show you. So the rod here that I have that was purchased from a local store, it's kind of fits backwards. So it's a rod that can go from either 86 inches wide to 120 inches. So in this kit, you get your rod. So it looks like this, the rod like this. You get 3 brackets that look like this. So if you're planning to hang a rod that's anything wider than 96 inches wide, about 8 feet wide, and you want the drape to move, you're going to want more than 3 brackets. One reason being that for support. If the drape is 120 inches wide or 96 inches wide, it's a lot of fabric that you have expanding over across your window. So you're going to want something that really supports your drapery. Now, something like this, when you only have 3, isn't really going to give you the support that you need. So unfortunately, in these DIY kits, they only really give you 3 brackets, and then it becomes a little tough. Like, how do you find 2 more brackets? They don't really sell the parts a la carte. It's just something you kind of grab off the shelf and go. So that's one negative with going with the DIY kind of a project. The second is, and I actually ran into this with a customer of mine, is that normally, typically on these rods that you can buy in kits, they give you size ranges. So this one happens to be 86, goes from 86 to 120 inches wide. With that, you're going to get this telescoping thing happening right here. So when you add rings, I added rings to this too so you can see. When you're trying to move a drape over a telescoping rod, the rings get stuck. So imagine this being, 8, 9, 10 feet in the air, and you're trying to make your drape move and it gets stuck. Like, who wants to be sitting there yanking their drape going across like that? Now, because this rod is so wide, you have a telescoping end over here, and then with this rod, it's supposed to go, I'm going to try to connect this here for you, like this. So, with this rod at 120 inches or 86 inches wide, you're going to have 2 telescoping situations going on here. So imagine trying to get rings past 2 telescoping situations, and you're going to get a bracket that goes in the middle. Now, I have been to customers' homes where they did have a rod up on a big picture window, and they said, how did I do? How does it look? And truthfully, the one situation, the rod was coming off the wall because they had pretty heavy drapes on the rod, and with the weight and everything else, they couldn't, these little brackets couldn't handle the weight of the drape. So for a safety issue too, you want to make sure that you have at least 5 brackets. That's number 1. Number 2, you want to make sure that you're getting it into a stud, because just hanging this into any old part of sheetrock, it's not going to hold, and it's going to end up coming down, and someone can get hurt. So from that standpoint, so when you do a custom rod, you don't have the whole telescoping issue. This is a rod that I have here in the showroom that you could purchase here at WindowWorks, that you see, they just slide back and forth. And not only that, but the brackets, if I can get this off, you're going to have a better back plate, something that offers a lot more support than this little L bracket guide. I mean, look at the difference. You're seeing the difference here. DIY, custom. And this kind of custom isn't far off than some of the rods that you could buy off the shelf and off the rack. We've actually have done some comparisons with that. Now, with this larger picture window, if your objective is to have a drape that covers the entire window, it's not going to happen with a rod, even when we do custom. It's not going to happen when you have a rod with brackets, because the bracket, the rings, need to get around this bracket somehow. And so that's not really going to happen. So if I have 5 of these expanding throughout your window, so typically you'll have one in the center, one on the end, and then one in between that. You're not getting your rings over this bracket. You're going to need to invest in a decorative traverse rod. So if you come with me for a second, I have one here on display that I want to show you. So I'm going to flip this around, if it lets me. No? Okay. Or not. So we're come along. I have one here on display in the showroom so I can tell you really and show you what a decorative traverse rod looks like. So back here behind me, you can see that where the drape is floating under the rod. Now with that, the rod is a rod with carriers, so it makes it easier for you to move your drape and bypass that bracket. I'm going to try to stand on the table here so you really can see. Okay. I'm really not this tall. We set up for a lunch and learn and we just moved some furniture around, so there happens to be a table right next to this rod, so it kind of helps me out here. So what you can see here is that this drapery rod has carriers in there, and the carriers, can you see? The carriers are what makes the rod move, and you're able to bypass the bracket over here. So this is your bracket, and the bracket sits on top of the rod. I can't tell if you can see it, but the bracket sits on top of the rod, giving you the ability to slide your rod back and forth past your bracket. So if you're doing a big window, and you want to be able to move your rod back and forth, this is the kind of rod that you're going to want to get. You're not going to want a rod with rings because, again, you can't go over the rings with the bracket. The tray. Oh, thank you, Michael. Another option that you can do is we have this rod here that's pretty cool in the showroom. Is it's a rod with C-rings. This one here, I don't know why I can't flip my camera around. Oh, there we go. Oh, so much better. This one here is a Braemar rod, and it has a track that goes behind this rod here. So we're able to move it. Let me go to this one. You're able to move the rod, the drape, freely. So if you like this look with the rod with the rings, this is also another option that we have here too, that you can move the rod. So another benefit of going the custom route versus DIY is that you have a lot of options. You have a lot more versatility than, say, that old school telescoping rod. You can do this. We have a rectangular rod here. Let me show you this beautiful, gorgeous cravat rod that we have going on here in our showroom too. So this is the Coastal Collection rod. So again, the square with the mixed metals that you have. So you have the, oh thanks Ann, you have a wood rod with metal rings. Again, see here, you're not moving this. If I needed this to go past a bigger thing, see, it's going to get stuck. Or behind here, this is a double rod setup. Behind here, you have a track. And so we're able to move the rod back and forth on such track. So it's very important when you're trying to figure out what you're doing drapery-wise, meaning whether or not you need, oh, say hi to Vin in the back, meaning what kind of drapes are you looking for? Are you looking for them to be stationary? So if you're looking for them to be stationary, typically on a window that's 96 inches wide, you can possibly get away with only 3 brackets, but that also depends on the diameter of your pole. The diameter of your pole, so if you're talking about something like this rod here, this rod is about 1 1/8 inches wide. If it's a lightweight shear, yes, you can get away with just using 3 brackets on something that isn't moving. If it's anything smaller than that, you're probably going to need more than 3 brackets. Oh, sorry, Mike. Oh, there was, Yeah, there was a bad accident here. They knocked out the power line, so you couldn't get to our store on Monday. So yeah, if you're talking about a bigger rod, something that's like 2 inches in diameter, 1.5 inches in diameter, if it's a wood pole, yeah, you can definitely get away with only using 3 brackets. So there is a lot of variables when selecting drapery hardware that you really want to consult with a professional. This happens to be one of my favorite topics, and I can sit here and talk about drapery hardware for, oh, you saw us doing our group picture? That's so funny. Yeah, we were out there. We're a little bit of a photo shoot day here on Tuesday at the showroom. So yeah, there's a lot of different things that you want to consider. I actually had customers, new customers of ours at Window Works, where they did do some DIY hardware that they purchased it, and these were actually pretty substantial. And I asked, I said, well, when it came to hanging them, did you actually hang them? And they said, oh no, the husband said, I don't trust myself with the drill. I had to hire someone to hang it. So sometimes, I know a lot of times with window treatments, cost is a really big factor in decision making, whether or not, you know, we're gonna go custom or DIY, but that's another thing to consider. When hanging the drapery rod, if you're not handy and you don't necessarily know exactly what you're doing, yes, buying the rod might be a little bit less, but then you also have to pay someone to hang it for you. So those costs, you know, start to add up. And so when you order custom drapery hardware from a company like Window Works, you get the benefit of my expertise, because I know again, favorite topic. I can talk drapery hardware till, you know, forever. And then you have the expertise of Bill, one of the owners here, who's been hanging drapery rods for over 35 years. So he's seen it all, he's hung it all, and you really get that valuable information. And plus, when you order some of these kits, the companies and the manufacturers determine how many rods you get or how many brackets you get. So again, with this one that I purchased here from a local store, it only came with 3 brackets. And, you know, it didn't come with any rings. So what if I had a pinch plate drape and I didn't have a typical grommet drape that you could just buy off the shelf? What are you going to do then? Where are you going to find rings that match it? Then you have to sit there and go through the process of Googling it and hoping that it matches the rod that you bought from the store. I mean, it's a lot of different factors that you might not necessarily think about. So, I mean, this rod here, if I can take it apart, there we go. I added rings because I had some leftover rings from another project below, but like, this is a 1-inch rod, okay? Where are you going to find this really cool bronzy finish 1-inch rings that are going to match? You're not. You're not going to find that when you go to the store and you just buy a whole box set complete like this. It makes it really difficult. So if you guys have any other questions or anything on drapery hardware out there that I can help you with, because again, this is my geek out topic of window treatments. I know we've talked about fabrics and wallpapers and whatnot, but drapery hardware is definitely my favorite. So I will do another video on different trends in hardware. For right now, I just really wanted to talk about the importance of DIY hardware off the shelf versus custom drapery hardware. But in a couple weeks, I'm going to put something together with all the different things and really cool, innovative things that we could do with drapery hardware. Motorization, French returns, all the different cool finials that you have out there, wood versus metal, how you can really incorporate it and really enhance your design of your window treatments. But if you guys don't have any other questions, thank you for watching here. Make sure to follow us here on Facebook. If you turn on the notifications, you'll never miss a Facebook Live video. If you follow us on Instagram at Window Works, our website is www.windowworks-nj.com. You can most certainly make an appointment to meet me here in the showroom. I can't even show you the amount of drapery hardware books and catalogs we have here, because we have a lunch and learn on Monday with Blanche Garcia. So I normally, our setup is a little different, but we have a ton of different books that I can show you that we can sit down and go over. So if you have any questions on drapery hardware, stop in, make an appointment to see me. You could always email us at info@windowworksnj.com. Shoot me questions there. Leave questions in the comments. Try to answer them as quickly as possible. If you want to keep up with Luann, she's at A Well Designed Business for Facebook and at Luann Igara on Instagram. If you're not in the area, on Monday we are going to be hosting a really great lunch and learn with Blanche Garcia. She's going to talk about how she runs her interior design business. So if you can't make it, make sure you watch our Facebook Live video on Monday. Probably is going to air from Luann's Facebook page and then her Instagram. So you want to make sure that you tune in for that. It'll be around 1 o'clock. We'll let you know when we're going to put that up. But I hope you guys have a really great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday. Bye.